running around with a child's mind. Woo! Man gets lucky just a couple of times. Sing it, Hester.
Hello and welcome to Our Dark Materials, a podcast about the BBC, HBO, more HBO because we're in the US, series of His Dark Materials, the book, The Golden Compass. This is episode 4, Armor. I'm James, and this week my demon is going to be in the shape of a sloth because we are very behind on this episode.
But not out of like laziness.
No, hospital visits suck, but that's neither here nor there. Who are you?
I'm Josie. I am his co-host or guest. We haven't really introduced.
No, you're my co-host.
Oh, okay. And this week mine would be a penguin.
Penguin.
And it's because penguins don't get sick.
Penguin.
I don't know. They don't go to the hospital like I was. I was in the hospital, guys. That's why.
Just you one guy. You one guy get to know why, and you already do. But for the rest of you,
everybody else, close your ears.
You don't get to know, and we're not going to tell you. So, how about instead you give us a quick little rundown of this episode?
I can do that. All right. So, this week we arrive in Trollisund, where we are introduced separately to Lee and Yorick. The Egyptians look into hiring the bear, the armored bear, but mostly they prepare for their trip up to the station, aka Bolvangar. They meet up with Dr. Lanselius, who is the witches' consul, in the hopes that they can get the witches on their side.
Yeah, he's kind of the go-between between witches and mankind.
Yes, the witches' consul.
Yeah.
We later learn that, of course, they are, or at least some of them are, on their side. Lyra spends most of the episode trying to get Yorick to join them, and she kind of gets Lee as a consolation prize.
A little bit, yeah.
In the end, Lyra uses the alethiometer to find his armor, and Yorick successfully finds it without killing anyone.
Well,
without killing the one guy.
Without killing anybody that didn't get in his way.
Right. And the one guy who did get in his way.
Just stay out of my way.
All right. Mrs. Coulter goes to the magisterium ready to be punished for her actions at Jordan College. If we remember, she trashed the whole place. She reveals her hand and lets the cardinal know that she has captured Lord Asriel. So, of course, she should stay in charge of the oblation board. Little do the magisterium know, she has captured him with the help of Yorfor, the king of the Iron Bears, or the Armored Bears, to whom she has promised to be baptized in the church if he continues to hold Lord Asriel for her.
Okay, I want to clarify something on that one.
Yes.
She has not promised to be baptized to him. She has promised that he will be baptized.
I said he has promised to... Oh, well, okay, no.
Yeah. She has promised that he will be baptized and be the only armored bear that is a member of the magisterium / church.
I feel like that's what I said, but fine. And lastly, Lord Boreal talks to Father MacPhail and bullies him into asking the magisterium's alethiometer a question for him.
Ooh, spooky. He kind of peer pressures him without it's straight up peer pressure.
No, he's like mean to him, and he gets all up in his face and bullies him, and then it's just like, and you'll ask it a question for me.
Yeah, mean girls. That's so fetch.
Stop trying to make fetch work.
All right, so we open with Lee Scoresby, and Lee Scoresby's played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. So of course you have to have him singing.
Yeah.
It was good. It was pretty fun.
Listen, okay, so...
It was a nice little song.
I just want to start off with the whole thing of he is very sweet and kind of adorable and does not play a scoundrel in any way, shape, or form.
He does not do scoundrel.
No, they're just like they keep verbally saying that he's not scoundrel isn't the word that they used for
Like a
it.
con.
But then
Con
he's
artist.
like, he smiles all adorably and he's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, I stole this man's watch. Speaking of the man's watch, did you recognize who, like the constable or the sheriff or whomever?
Yes,
that
it's
he was?
freaking Dudley.
It's Dudley. And he just has zero luck. Like, it's so
Oh, that poor boy.
unfortunate. Like,
Poor man.
anything kind of magical, he's just fucked.
Yeah, a little bit. It was so sad. It did take me a little bit.
And I was like, in my notes, I have, oh, it's Dudley, and Lee is a mighty fine pickpocket.
I was gonna say, okay, so down here, it's when Lee sits down to say with what constable is what you called him?
I'm calling him the constable, like the sheriff, like just the head of the police.
I just called him the cop.
The cap.
And when he
Kappa.
sits down with him and tells him that he owns the bear's armor and finds out that the magisterium actually
Yeah.
owns it and the bear is working off the debt.
Which is a change.
And then right after my notice, that's Dudley. So it took me a while.
It took you until like basically almost to the end of the episode.
halfway.
Almost to the end of the episode. And I'm just
Sure.
like, oh, dude, that's Dudley right the very first time we see him. So Lyra is not thrilled to be in Trollison. She's just kind of a mopey teenager, even though she's not a teenager yet.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really help that, like, from the very beginning, John Fa is just like,
Oh, you're going to do what I say.
yeah, I'm in charge.
I'm the one in charge. But
And of course he is. He's totally in charge. He should be in
He
charge.
should be.
He's
He
the
is the
adult
adult.
here.
But that lets us basically get a walkthrough of how Lyra is able to read the alethiometer because she has mastered this.
Oh yeah,
like
in
2
such a
days.
short period
Yeah,
of
it's
time.
been like
Well,
2 days, and
not. I mean, in the book, it's like this long process.
yeah,
And so by the time that she's gotten there, she's had plenty of practice.
Yeah.
We can probably assume it's a little bit of the same.
it's been about a week to Trollison.
Maybe a few weeks.
Maybe a few. It's been about a week to get to Trollison. And then, but Lyra gives us like, oh, this means this means this. I just kind of step down like I'm stepping down a ladder, and it just kind of comes to me. Basically, it's by Deliverance. No, not Deliverance.
Deliverance? Isn't that the movie with the...
The banjo, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to cut that part. I'm going to cut out that basically part.
Why?
But as they're in Trollison, as the Egyptians are in Trollison, they're kind of drawing a lot of attention to themselves by these soldiers, and we find out that they're the magisterium soldiers. They're like church.
This town
soldiers.
is invaded.
It is infested.
Yeah.
And all of that, but they go to the consul.
Yeah, that's the first thing that they do.
Yeah. Like they pull up and it's like, oh shit, there's a lot of magisterium people here.
Oh, well, actually,
And
no,
then they
it's not the
go-
first thing they do. What is the first thing they do?
That's basically it.
She sees the bear first.
No,
No, you're right. It's after.
it's
okay.
after because they go to the consort and consul, sorry, and he like tells them all about the witches and stuff like that,
Yes.
and asks Lyra how to read the alethiometer and gives her the test with the cloud sprig,
Yeah.
cloud pine, the
The-
sprig of cloud pine.
Yes, he has a bunch of them, and that he
Mm-hmm.
uses these to, at least in the book, he uses these cloud pines
Is a part of the cloud pine. Yeah.
to contact the witches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they people are able to get into contact with the witches if they need them. It's kind of cool.
It is.
It's a little weird that he has each of the sprigs in little glass
Yeah.
jars.
So reading the book, I always assumed that like the sprig of pine. I guess I should have looked up the term sprig when I was
like
a child.
it's a broom.
I thought like more of a branch, like size of a branch, and that the witches wrote them like in our world, witches would ride brooms. So it was
Right.
like a long branch, but this was like a tiny little just sprig.
Yeah.
And it makes sense saying sprig, but
That was definitely going to be one of the things that I looked up because normally I look up parts of the book so we can reference it and stuff. I do remember her asking, she was like, do the witches really ride these?
Yeah.
And he's like, or they have in the past. Because it's also kind of like out in the shed outside, and he's got them all hung up. But also, I can kind of see the way that they did it here. He's a lot more businessy looking.
Yeah. He's a
And
businessman with business plans.
I always imagined him being kind of like dressed up, looking dapper kind of thing, but like more,
Snivelly.
no, shaman like.
Oh. See, I always imagined him like dressed up, suit tie type thing, but very skinny, very snivelly type.
Oh,
And I don't know why. That for some reason that is just the image that was in my head. And I guess because you trust him, but you don't fully trust him.
No.
And that's basically what we get from this. Father Cardam asks him, "What would I ask, or what should I ask?" And this
In the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this one, this is okay. So this is the very first thing that I have to bring up of is like something that they're doing in the show, which is making Lyra smarter, and that's not bad. Like, because she is still smart.
She's a
in the
capable
book.
woman.
Child, she is a child.
Yeah.
Children. Okay, so they're making her smarter than they are in the books. She's not stupid in the books, but she is getting a lot of the adults' lines. So very specifically in this part,
You are correct.
Father Coram is the one who asks, like the very last question that he asks them, if you were me, what question would you suggest I ask you? And that's when he tells him about like, I would ask where I could find myself an armored bear.
Where I can find the services of an armored bear.
Right. But in the show, it makes
it's Lyra.
Lyra.
That's right.
And that,
That's
I don't know how I feel about that. Because in the book, it's like, oh, Father Coram's such a smart man. Like, she looks up to him. But in this one, it kind of takes away from Father Coram.
A little bit, yeah, but he gets his own thing a little later.
Yeah. But
Unless
that's not like
I'm
showing
mixing
how
up.
smart he is. We did watch 2 episodes in a row, guys. So I hope we're trying to stick to our notes that we
Yeah.
don't get the episodes mixed up.
So Lyra gets another key item for her quest, which is to go and try and get the services of Yorick.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he's a major key item in this quest.
Oh, of course. Okay. When you say key item, I didn't think like
Well, it's
a person.
Lyra gets another key item for her quest, and it's time for a motherfucking side quest. It's a fetch quest, y'all.
Go talk to the bear. Everything is much nicer if you have an armored bear on your side.
Yeah. So luckily they're able to find Yorick. He's not difficult to find. And they talk about it. Blah, 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 blah. This is what we are. And Yorick refers to the people that the Egyptians are seeking as the child cutters.
Yes.
And this is like, I think the first time that it's referred to as like cutting with children. Like we got hints with the blueprints of the device at the station and Mrs. Coulter's desk.
And I think they've kind of talked about cutting something, but they weren't talking about cutting the children.
Yeah.
So that's
So like this is
definitely
the
a
first thing
difference.
that's like child cutters. They're cutting the children. So we during this whole conversation we get our first like real look at Yorick, and the CGI for this bear is really good. I
so
really like it.
good.
I now understand why they might not have had the money for a lot of demons in the first few episodes, because they had to spend a lot of time and money working on this goddamn CGI bear, which is awesome. Like this is one of my favorite character models so far.
Yeah, no, he looks amazing. So yeah, they go and talk to him, and he is not for sale. He's not available. He is already working for the town, will not admit why he's working. And then she kind of calls him a coward.
Yeah, a little bit, but he's a bear.
He's not a coward.
He's not a coward.
Never. Mrs. Coulter goes to the magisterium for the first time after ransacking the college. She slaps her demon's hand away when he tries to hold
He's like
her
going
hand.
up to comfort her, and she's like, no. And it's not even high five slap. It's just like, nah.
Like, I have to keep reminding myself, it's not
She's not a good person?
Well, obviously she's not a good person. I know that part. But also her demon's not a good person because her demon is an extension of her.
Yeah.
But it's not just this like animal that she is close to that she's being mean to. She's actively being mean to a part of herself.
She's kind of just beating herself up. Mm-hmm. Only physically and visually for us to see.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, how dare you try to hold my hand? Do not show weakness in front of these people, I think is how I'm choosing to take it.
I think so, yeah.
Because like if you're holding your demon's hand or if you're like getting comfort from your demon in front of other people as an adult, I can see that being like a show of weakness in a way.
It's not so businessy. It's not so official. You're not both walking down there as your own. And it's not like her demon needs to be on her or riding her to keep up. Like it has the speed of walking that she would normally do. So you have to be separate. You have to be official. And by you, I mean Mrs. Coulter.
It's
and
still sad.
It's super sad.
She goes in and she talks to the cardinal, who tries to tell her that Father McPhail, who's a big failure here, is going to be taking over. She's not in trouble, but he is going to be taken over. And she's just like, oh, let me tell you why you're not going to do that.
See, you're playing checkers and I've got some chess.
I'm sorry. It's a very good...
Because she's already figured out and put into action of how to imprison Lord Asriel, which she tells them is like, oh, by the way, I have Lord Asriel
and I didn't
imprisoned
need your help
up in
doing
the
it.
north. He's being held in this place that is inescapable.
And they're terrified of Lord Asriel.
They are terrified of him, yeah. So Father McPhail gets a promotion and then a demotion. Like, it's the paperwork doesn't even go through.
Immediately.
Yeah, the paperwork doesn't even go through. He doesn't get to have that. But because Mrs. Coulter has imprisoned Lord Asriel, she's calling all the shots. Like, before it was kind of a thing that they...
Oh,
it seemed like
she
they
head
kinda
bitch in charge.
Yeah, she's head bitch in charge 100% now. She doesn't have to check in with anybody.
No.
Anymore.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that for her. We go back and Lyra is having a conversation with Father Quorum, which is where my iPad corrected it to Farmer Karam.
Oh, Farmer Karam. Basically, he tells her about his love with
His relationship with
Serafina Pekkala.
Serafina, and that they had a baby, and the baby died.
And it's sad.
It's very sad.
He says that Serafina would have gone directly to Yambe Aka and fight her for their child, to bring their child back, but
She cared dearly for him. Which is also a little bit different from the book, but
I think it's a little more subtle in the book.
I think in the book, because of the fact that like it's harder on Farda Quorum than it is on Serafina, because of the whole witches living hundreds and thousands of years, right? And so yes, it hurts them every single time a lover or a child dies, but after a while, it is a thing that they accept happens.
Because it's more like a blink of an eye thing.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks, but time heals all wounds. But we find out with Father Quorum that some wounds never fully heal.
Yeah.
And he's still completely heartbroken. And it hurts.
It hurts him.
And yeah.
And then we're immediately switched over to Lee. And I have it as a man and a hare walk into a bar and threaten everybody inside with a game of cards.
Lee thinks he rolls a nat 20 on his charisma roll, but he really just rolls a 2. He's got like the dice that is kind of weird, so it's just like,
Yeah, he goes in and gets zero information. And all he is like clarifying is that, yes, everybody there is very uncomfortable that you're talking about the Iron Bear that they're all trying to pretend isn't there. Although the best thing about that is the hare's commentary on the
Hester
fight. Yeah.
is like the best fighting coach. Like, get him, Lee, go,
Even though
get him. Oh, jump,
I love
kick,
how
kick,
she
Lee.
also yells at like one of the guys attacking him. Hey, that almost hit me.
Yeah, that almost hit me. Hester is like the sassiest and the best ever. Mrs. Coulter. Sorry, we're jumping back to Mrs. Coulter.
No, yeah, it jumps back and forth quite a bit.
It does. She gets some quality time with the Magisterium's alethiometer reader.
Yes.
And
it looks a lot like Lyra's.
It does. I think a lot of them are gonna look the same.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
this.
In the book, they definitely talked about how they all looked a little bit different.
This one isn't as gold.
Yeah, I
It looked
think
more silvery.
they're all gonna look roughly the same. Maybe a few different different changes.
Yeah, and we didn't really get to see the inside of it.
No.
And that might be a big change with it.
True.
But she has one question for the alethiometer.
Who is Lyra Blackwell?
And that question is, who is Lyra Blackwell? Ooh.
You feel like in the Father McPhail, it has like the correct assumption of like, shouldn't you know this?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But Mrs. Coulter knows more than other people, and she knows that it's going to answer
She knows
differently.
there's
It's not just
something
going to be
else, yeah.
like, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
She's the chosen one or something like that. But yeah.
So then we have back to Lyra and at Trollesund, back to Trollesund.
Where Lyra finally meets Lee.
Yes.
Am I jumping forward?
I have Kaisa next.
Oh, no, that's right next. That's after. So Lee and Lyra finally meet in the streets.
Okay.
And it's just basically like, oh, you're trying to find a bear? I'm trying to find a bear. You're not going to get anywhere with these people.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Okay.
So I remember that now.
And then do we meet Kaisa?
Yes, and then we meet Kaisa.
Kaisa, who is Serafina Pecola's demon. And
Yes.
everyone's a little spooked out that demon can be separated from their person
That
over like such a long distance.
But they know that
that's-
witches can do that.
But they know witches can do that. So
Yeah.
it's not super spooky. It's just like weird. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And we find out that the witches called the station, which we have been calling the station up till now, Bolvangar, which translates to
The
Fields of Evil.
Ooh. So they get that little rundown, and then it's nighttime,
Oh, yes. And Pan and Lyra are staring up in the sky.
staring up at the aurora.
And
And
they're trying to figure out what it's made out of.
Made it out of, and Lyra's like, there's something up there. It looks like a city. But it disappears as quickly as it shows up.
And then, like, nothing after
Yeah,
that. It's just like,
nothing.
okay, guys, here's this little hint of a city in the sky. And then we're done.
And then Lee is off to find Yorick.
Finally finds
Finally
him.
finds him. I
It's
mean,
been
Lyra was able
3
to find him a lot
years.
faster, but it's been 3 whole years.
Yep.
They talk and commiserate like best buddies, and Lee's just like, oh, poor Yorick.
Alas, I knew him.
Yeah. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him. Lee then goes to the constable. He goes to
Yes.
Dudley. I'm gonna refer to him as Dudley.
Okay.
If you would like to follow me along with that,
Yeah.
feel free. If not,
We're going to
but
go talk to Cop Dudley.
We're gonna go talk with Dudley Copper, and he throws down a receipt laying claim to Yorick's armor, saying that you can't.
And he lost it to him in a game of cards or something like
So
that.
I fully believe this
It's
is a forgery.
fake. It's
this
totally
is fake. But
fake.
it's a good try. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you can't take someone's property that isn't theirs. Like you took my property.
Yeah. And
So-
I get it. And then it's also just like to get more information because that's where he learns that the armor actually belongs to the Magisterium, as
Magisterium
punishment
that-
for
yeah.
killing and destroying.
Which we later find out
He was tricked.
he was tricked into it. It turns out the town got Yorick drunk to trick him out of his armor, and he went into a rage after that.
Justifiably.
So they stole his armor, and then he went on the rampage and killed and murdered and all of that. And it's, oh, look, a shitty town is shitty.
Yeah.
Because you need, if you can get the work of an armored bear, you're going to get quality work. But you don't do it that way.
Nope.
Trollesund.
After this, something with Mrs. Coulter happens, and the only note I put on there is, I just want to see Mrs. Coulter talk to her damn demon. And that's it.
Aw.
But we go back to Lyra. She consults the symbol reader, the alethiometer, to check on the bear. And why haven't they just learned to trust her?
You would think. They're like, oh, she's able to read this. Maybe we should trust her. Because she's Lyra and she lies.
Well, yeah, she is a known
Just
liar.
because she can read the truth reader
Doesn't
or the
mean
truth
she's
teller
telling
doesn't mean she's
the truth.
Yes.
This is true.
Unreliable narrator.
Right, but they haven't really shown that here on the show.
Yeah.
But
Is this when Lyra is talking with Lee?
no, that's
okay.
a little bit later. It's just basically that she finally decides to consult the alethiometer about the
Gotcha.
bear himself,
Gotcha.
and that's when she learns that the town tricked him. We switch over to Lord Boreal being a bully and asking him to ask the alethiometer a question as well. I did not write down that question.
I don't think they really fully came out with what the question was.
He asked
He
the
kind
question
of
and then he
alluded to it.
changed the
Yeah.
question.
My note for this is, I don't need your permission. I just need your consent.
But
You
I know it's about grooming.
your consent to continue to blackmail you. Because he's like, I've got information. I have pictures. I have the tea
Yes.
on how, I'm going to say, pedophile?
On McPhail?
The church dude? It's not McPhail. It's another dude.
Oh, the other guy.
The other church dude. I'm going to say pedophile for that church dude. Sorry
I mean, they're
if
in
it's
the
not.
church.
But he does have blackmail on him. And just going off of that, this is basically an analogy to the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Here's a man in power within the magisterium.
Yeah,
that
being
has
threatened to
something-
expose about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something probably a lot like that.
Yeah. We go back to Lyra. Oh yeah, here we go. Lyra is wearing the pants around these parts. She
is.
tries to hire Lee on behalf of Lord Fa on her own. Lee explains to Lyra that a bear's armor is like his demon, and she leaves before he can explain much else.
She pulls some goddamn power moves by eating food off of his own plate.
Yes.
And it's like, oh yes, I'm gonna eat this. And
Doesn't she like
to
offer
hide.
a game of cards to him
she
as
like
well?
sits down and like explains bluffing to him. He's like, I know how to bluff. He's
I'm
like,
a fucking adult
he's
child.
like, yeah, okay, yeah, blah 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 blah, bluff bluff bluff, and then eats all his bacon right there, right in front of him.
And then leaves because she can tell that he like wants to talk more, and then she's just like, "Yeah, no, I've got the information I want.
I got
Thank
what
you."
I need. So then she goes to find Yorick to try and recruit him one last time. She's not going to give up on Yorick.
No.
She knows that they need Yorick.
Oh, darling,
Yorick is Yorick, my love.
My
Yorick,
dear.
my darling. Yorick, my dear. She goes to find Yorick, and she's like, if I can tell you where your armor is, will you come with us?
And he's like, "Yeah, I will."
Yes, I will. That was a terrible Yorick. I apologize for that. But she pulls out the alethiometer and finds out where they've been holding the armor. Mm-hmm. And it is...
And then he immediately goes after it.
Yep. He goes. He runs.
And then she immediately regrets,
And she's
like
like, "Oh,
telling him.
shit.
She's like, "Fuck, he is going to
He's
murder
gonna murder,
people."
and I just made him say he's not going to murder. But he goes, it's in the church or whatever, the town church, the cellar of the town church,
Yeah.
and just tears shit up. And we get a great look as to why armored bears are so badass. Like, they are
looks
super badass. They are so cool. And the CGI in this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for BBC standards, this is some of the best CGI I've ever seen.
They've gotten a lot better.
It's
No offense to BBC.
No offense to BBC.
Also,
And
they got that HBO money.
they got the HBO money. It's no, like, last season dragon for Game of Thrones, but it's pretty close to that in my own opinion.
I think it looks a lot better than the dragon. Not that the dragon looked bad. Like in the last season, the dragon looks amazing.
Well, the last season is when the dragons looked the best.
Absolutely. But he looks much better than the dragons did in the beginning.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a better overall.
Overall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so Lyra chases Yorick through the town as he tramples through everything. And then he rushes in and we don't see anything happening inside the building because that costs more money. Mm-hmm. And then he comes out in his armor.
In his armor, and he is majestic as fuck.
Yo.
He is the most majestic being. My biggest thing with this is that they did kind of ruin it in the previews and all of that stuff. And it's not even like next time on his Dark Materials. It's
just straight up. Oh, Yorick's
in the
trailer.
Here's Yorick and his armor is like.
But then again, people not watching don't know why or why not.
People not watching don't need to know that there's a goddamn armored bear.
That's true.
And then when he pops out in his armor, it's like, oh shit, that's so cool.
Yeah,
would have been so cool.
It's still so cool.
Dudley has terrible luck with somewhat fantastical creatures.
I knew Dudley was gonna be the cop that was mauled.
He was that one dude.
That one guy. Guy.
Lyra saves his life.
Yep. Lyra convinces Yorick, without Lee's help, shut up, old man, to not kill the cop, and they all leave happily into the sunset.
Yes.
Yeah, because the whole part where Lee's like, you don't need to do this, and I don't remember what he said. I'm sorry. But he interjects while Lyra's talking Yorick down, and what he says does nothing.
Yeah, basically.
But, whatever.
But yeah. They all go back to the Egyptians loading up, and Lyra is now the captain. She is now the leader of the Egyptians because she's like, no, he needs to come with me. He's practically Egyptian, just like me.
But she's not Egyptian.
Well, spoilers.
It's not a spoiler. She's just not Egyptian.
And then, okay, so
I've got in here, bitch, I have a bear.
Bitch, yeah, so bitch, I have a bear. And then
she goes up to John Faw and is just like, look what I've got. And John Faw's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And who's this guy? And Lee's like, didn't you hire me? And he's like, no.
Then we jump over to Mrs. Coulter. Speaking of bitch, I've got a bear. She's in the north.
Oh, she got a bear too.
She's in a cave, and she's talking to a bear.
Your fur.
And he is king of bears.
Yes.
He's the king of the bears. And she's offering a baptism as long as he
continues to hold
Lord Azrael.
And let her be in charge.
Destroy his equipment.
Yes. Oh, yes. Keep him from doing any more stuff.
Sabotage his research into dust.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then she will do whatever she will do whatever he wants her to do.
And your fur has some pretty gold armor.
Some very, very nice armor.
It's very pretty. But that is it for this episode.
There really aren't a lot of spoilers. Well, yeah, that is it for this episode.
Yes.
We should check our alethiometer. Although there aren't a whole lot of spoilers. I think it's going to be the shortest thing ever.
Yeah, a little bit. This episode is interesting because the first 2 episodes there is so much happening. And we talked about this being a shorter episode, and in the end it's kind of not, just because we're talking a lot. But there wasn't a lot of plot in comparison to the first 2 episodes. In the first 2 episodes, it was just so much information dump. And we have to get so much going on. And then we get to Trollisand, and then it's just we spend the day in Trollisand.
Yeah, we have a vacation town, and Trollisand is the worst vacation town and all of that. So yeah, let's go check our alethiometer really, really fast.
Okay, well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Those who are not going to be coming along with us into the spoiler section, we are a proud member of the Hello Sweetie Podcast Network. If you would like to listen to other awesome podcasts in our network, you should go to hellosweetiepodcastnetwork.com.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw a promo in here right now. So,
yeah.
Cue promo.
At Push My Buttons podcast, you can get all the gaming news, information on latest releases, game reviews, and you can even watch us play some of your favorite games. Everything from Sonic the Hedgehog to God of War on YouTube and Twitch. Follow us on all the social media and listen on all your favorite apps. Just search for Push My Buttons podcast.
welcome to our alethiometer section. We don't have a lot of spoilers for this one because it was pretty much contained within. It didn't branch out too much.
Yeah. I was realizing while we were in the non-spoilery section that there was a lot of things that, they're, differences from the books. They're not spoilers. So I kind of went ahead and talked about them, like the fact that Lansalius is not how I thought he would look.
Yeah.
They kind of changed the part where she can tell that Father Coram is not wanting to tell him about the alethiometer.
Yep.
And she tells him the truth, and he says, "You are very wise to say so." But they don't really say why.
Yeah.
The pines are very small.
They're
I do
sprigs.
miss the part in the book because I remember her very specifically going outside and pretending to fly around on the pine.
Yeah, she holds it up and runs around and is like, "Oh, I'm flying.
Yeah,
and
which is
all
I
of
think
that,
why
yeah.
both of us imagine them being
Something
bigger.
Yeah.
And because they skipped that part, they also skipped the part where Dr. Lansalius talks to Father Coram about the prophecy about her and how that she, basically the reiterating.
The witches have a prophecy of her, about her and all of that. And that's...
And talking about how she must fulfill her destiny, but without knowing that she's fulfilling it, and nobody can tell her that she's doing it. She must be allowed to make mistakes.
She must be allowed to do that. Yeah. So my biggest thing for spoilers is that we are introduced to Iofur.
Oh yeah,
And he's
so
a character
early
that doesn't
on.
come in until the last quarter of the book.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to how they're going to show the kingdom of the bears.
That's right, because it's supposed to look like they're trying to be grand, but they smell bad.
Yeah.
And they're not meant to be cooped up indoors, and so it's kind of gross looking everywhere and heavily perfumed and
flubber
piles of flubber or something like that. Blubber.
Flubber's
Fat.
green, yeah. Flubber's the green stuff, but the fat and the blubber
Yeah.
from seals and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We did just get to see a cave, but we did kind of get a glimpse at the armor and comparing Yorick's armor.
Yes,
with,
which is more
Iorfur's.
rugged. Yorick's
Iorfur's,
armor
which
to
is-
Iorfur's
yeah.
golden armor.
Golden he kind of has a Romanesque, looks like a blade instead of a
Yeah.
plume.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that. I'm curious as to see what all the other different types of armor are.
I know. I'm excited. I bet his is going to look the prettiest. And, Iorfur's supposed to look grand.
Oh, yeah.
And so he does. So I'm not in any way upset about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in. I'm wondering if they're going to be showing
Kind of like that build
Lord
up
Asriel
of his takeover and all of that. Oh, sorry.
No, because they kind of hinted at that already.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll go into it earlier.
Maybe. Maybe just be I was not thinking Yorick will be I was not thinking like a bear, and I was able to be tricked by
Yes.
Iofur. And you're right, they did kind of go into it, but I wonder if they're going to be showing more the buildup of and the
Maybe
massive
some flashbacks.
changes
Do they do flashbacks
of
in
the
show?
kingdom of the bears.
Yes, I think they'll
During
be doing
that,
some changes.
if we're going to be jumping over to, they didn't even name it, and I can't remember the name of it right now. That would be book knowledge that I'm not pulling to my head. But
Yeah.
the Bear's Kingdom,
Yes.
if they're going to be jumping over there and showing stuff like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be neat to see when we finally do get to see it, though.
The only other thing I have is that basically what I was saying before, I don't think they're playing Lord Fa very smart in the TV show, because just like in the beginning when Lyra takes Farda Coram's line of asking the witch's console, what question should we be asking you?
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, she pretty much takes a few of his lines again, because John Fa wants to hire Lee. It was his idea
He's
to
the one
hire
that hires
Lee.
Lee in the book.
Yeah,
He
and-
shows up we have an aeronaut, and
And I think it's like really undermining him having her doing all of these things. Like, yes, she kind of goes behind their back in order to get the bear, to get Yorick on their side, but they were interested in Yorick.
Yeah.
And in this, they're just like, huh? Oh, an armored bear? Eh. But like the fact that the witch's console like suggested it to him, they take it very seriously.
Yeah, and he's the one that takes the witches and the witch's console like the most serious and all of that. So yeah, I agree with that, but at the same time I also enjoy them giving Lyra a bit more to do other than just sit and complain.
Which is what she is doing a lot in the books at this point.
Yeah, what she's kind of doing in the books at this point. She's still one of the main driving forces of going and rescuing the other children.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like the things that they're having her do is undermining the adults to whom she looks up to so much.
It would be one thing if it was the professors at Jordan College, but these are the heads of the Egyptians that she's idolized.
Yeah. And so like I have a small problem with that, but it's not.
Oh no.
It's not making me hate anything.
It's just frustrating.
The only thing close enough to making me unhappy with this show is Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is just so fucking lovable.
Oh.
Like,
see, I love Lee in the book.
Oh, I love Lee too, and he's so good and rugged and westerny, and Lin-Manuel's not playing him that way in any way, in my opinion. And I don't know. In some ways, it adds to it, but it's also like.
I think if they let Hester continue to be snarky towards him, then he'll grow.
Maybe
he'll grow on you. But I'm
hoping anyway.
I've enjoyed him so far.
That's good.
And
I don't hate him. I want to like make that clear. It's just he's kind of my least favorite of all the things that I love.
Half of it is because of Hester, though.
Yes.
Hester is
great.
The best demon.
Yeah.
But with that, I think that's going to wrap us up for episode 4.
That's all I've got for episode 4,
Episode
guys.
4, armor.
We got armor.
We got armor.
And a bear.
We got an armor. We got an armored bear. We got an aeronaut. We got a balloon.
That's it.
That's it. We're heading north.
More north.
Well, northeast.
Yeah, because they're in the north now, technically.
Yeah.
We're in the north.
We're in the north. So how do we want to sign off this time?
See you at Ballvanger?
To the station! I love how you spelled it, Mrs. Coulter.
Listen, I was taking notes very quickly.
Yeah, okay.